Hey YouTube, it's me, Military Gun Guy, back with another acquisition. This also happens to be a Bulgarian AK74 that I acquired locally. This one was bought from a gun shop. Supposedly was built by a reputable builder. I don't know who. Even if I did, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't say who it is. I did notice some interesting things about it. I didn't really pay that much for it, and I'm going to eventually rebuild it. I did like the fact that it was built on a Nodak spud receiver, but there were some, like the rivets on the outside, if you can see, compared to the last Bulgarian that I looked at, the rivets are actually quite nice, but that's sort of where that part stops. I did notice a few interesting things about it, and this is again another sort of a what to look for when building or buying an AK. Again, this is a 74, so it's a 545 by 39. Looks like it's on a Circle 10 trunnion. I don't know if all the parts match. Probably doesn't matter. First thing, obviously, make sure that it's unloaded, which it is, as there's no magazine in it. If you've never taken apart an AK, they're fairly simple. You basically push this piece in. This comes right up. This pushes forward, comes out like that. And then you see your internal workings, your fire control group. Your bolt comes straight out, or your bolt carrier, sorry. And then, of course, there's your bolt and whatnot. And I'll show you some of the issues that I found. Something I did find interesting was, if you can look here, they actually tack welded this, which is kind of strange for a full-length rifle. These have a detent pin that holds this in place, so there's no chance of this ever falling out. So I don't know why they went through the extra trouble of doing a tack weld. It's got a decent coat of paint on it, nothing really too spectacular. It has a side rail. The side rail, instead of being riveted in, actually has pan head or hex head screws. You can probably see. Let's see, get in there, right about there. So get this thing to focus a little bit better. There we go. You can see that there's a hex head screw. Probably, obviously, one of the aftermarket kits. I think this rifle was built to comply with, the 922. Whatever. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of lightly pull it apart. Like I said, overall, it's not in bad condition. I did notice a couple of unusual things. The rivet heads for the trigger guard seem a bit unusually small. It's just strange. They're fairly well formed. It's been, they did a nice job on that. It does look like, and I don't know when I pull it apart, but it does look like that there actually might be a bit of tack weld as well. I don't know why. Fire control group looks okay. Receiver in itself looks okay. Now, the one thing I did find interesting, now this is built on a Nodak receiver. Put this way, it doesn't look like you're upside down. This trunnion hole, this one, and the two rear ones need to be dimpled or recessed. That increases the strength of or increases the receiver strength. It basically kind of locks it in. So you're actually, you dimple this and then you put a swell neck rivet in there, and then when you smash it, it locks the receiver into the trunnion. I pulled one of the rivets out, and I'm going to end up doing a full demill and rebuild on this one anyway. But I noticed that there was no evidence of any sort of, and again, let me get this thing close in the light, and you can kind of see my blind ass. There's no evidence of any dimpling whatsoever. I don't know if the rest of the rivets will be the same way, but chances are this thing over time will probably shake itself apart. In the rear, these will start to shear, and the rear trunnion will just fall out. On the front, we'll do the same thing, and then this will start moving back and forth and whatnot. Not obviously a very satisfactory condition when it comes to firing a gun that close to your face. So at the very least, I mean, the receiver is completely salvageable. It's a Nodak, and I'm going to take extra pains to make sure that that I make sure that I don't do any damage to the receiver when I demill it. The other thing you can probably see is the interior condition of the rivets is mostly deplorable. I don't know what they used to smash the rivets, but they kind of over smashed them, and it's very unusual. You can see, again, let me focus on that. You can see where the rivet sort of like splashes up. It looks like they may have ground it a little bit to fit the magazine, because again, if you have issues with the magazine not fitting, you can kind of sometimes, a lot of times it's just the rivet, sometimes it'll go high on one side, you just got to file it down or re-smash it. But all of the rivets have this weird sort of concave looking, I don't know what the hell it is, and I don't know, again, I don't know what kind of tool they use, but every single rivet on this rifle has the same sort of issue. You may not be able to see that one, but and again, they're like over smashed. I mean, they'll hold for a while. I would imagine over time they'll shake themselves loose and then fall apart. I haven't pulled the pistol grip. It looks like there's a dome head on this, and it looks like they actually dented. Looks like they actually dented in here a little bit. Again, from over smashing a rivet. All of this can be fixed. You know, I didn't spend, again, I think I spent between this and some ammo, I probably had about $1,000 into it. It does, you know, if you factor, you know, 1,000 rounds of 5.45 ammo coming in at about $250 a case, the rifle is about $500. It doesn't need a lot of work to bring it back to, you know, back into spec. I'll double check the headspace just because of the quality of the rivets. I'm a little iffy. But the rifle's not as bad as that other one that I did the video on, where it was just obviously junk. The barrel's in very good condition, assuming the headspace is okay. You know, all I have to literally do is just re-rivet it and, you know, put a new finish or do whatever I want, and this gun will be good to go. The wood is horrible. You can see a lot of like runs and stuff in the finish. I don't know what they use. I mean, I know the Russians weren't always that fastidious either with their finishes, but this is kind of horrible. This was built for 922 that has a bunch of American parts on it to comply with the federal regulations. One of them is a Tapco trigger. Looks like the G2. It's having a weird little reset issue area because of the spring. I'll fix that. The bolt, I haven't really torn this thing down that much. I just sort of saw it. Bolt looks okay. Everything's fine. You know, a standard Bulgarian bolt. You know, paint, finish, wearing, but that's normal. Bulgarian paint wasn't that great to begin with. You know, gas tube is okay. Pretty much everything is good. The other thing I did find interesting was this, is that they put a new, what the fuck makes this? This is a new Tapco gas piston. Again, I think they were trying so hard to comply with the 922 regulations that they were just throwing a bunch of American parts on. There's nothing wrong with the original Bulgarian bolts, but I mean, again, if you want to get anal retentive about it, that's fine. What I did notice interesting though is that they drilled out the rivet head that secures this, and they tightened the shit out of this thing, but they never bothered to put a rivet back in. You know, I mean, I haven't fired this thing. I haven't checked headspace on it either, and I'll probably do that. And at the end of this video, I'll go grab my headspace gauges. But this is just sort of fucking half-assed. I don't know why you would go through the trouble of building something nice and then just sort of fucking off something. You know, I mean, it's not that hard to put a rivet in this. You drill it. AK Builder sells a little jig that holds it. You drill it. You smash the rivet in there, and then you just basically, I just run on a belt sander and just cleans it right up, and you can't even tell that the rivet was done. And it just secures this. I mean, yeah, you could Loctite the shit out of it, but it's just half-assed. Like, you know, I mean, if you're going to go through the trouble of building a gun, don't do it half-assed. You know, just, I mean, take the time, either ask people on the forums or whatever, to where you can actually do a quality job, something you can be proud of. Because if somebody picks this up and looks at it, I'd be like, why the fuck didn't they put a rivet in there, or what's missing from there? So again, you know, nothing major. If you are buying an AK and the owner is, you know, gracious enough to let you take it apart, you know, which I think anybody who's selling a gun should be able to at least take it apart if you have the knowledge. I think that, you know, I mean, this rivet job needs to be redone. I don't like it. And it's not because I'm an anal retentive purist. It's because it just looks like shit. And while they will hold, eventually they will probably break loose. And that's just a dangerous thing, especially when your front trunnion comes out when the thing is firing. And this obviously will affect the quality of the weapon. I mean, if you go to a gunsmith, I don't know how many AK gunsmiths we have in Vegas. I mean, I do know of M13 and a lot of these guys that do really quality work. But if you go to your average gunsmith, I don't know really how many will actually have familiarity with the AK-47. And it's possible this might have been built by one of the, you know, hey, yeah, I can build an AK. They put the parts together. It holds well. You know, it head spaces, and you're good to go. So just be careful when you're buying this stuff. You know, this does affect the value. I would probably pay no more than at 400 for this gun, maybe even, you know, well, I'd probably pay 4 because everything is in decent condition, assuming it headspaces. You know, having to pull the trunnions off and save the receiver and re-rivet it is a pain in the ass, but it's nothing that's like completely ridiculous, you know. So the plan for this thing is to re-rivet it. I'm going to demill it. I'm going to re-rivet it, probably blast it. And shameless plug, Carl over at Strip Center Media Blasting does really, really good work, and not not a lot of money. I'll probably re-blast it. I'm gonna clean up the furniture. I might even put new furniture on. I don't like this. I don't know what the fuck they did here, and get this thing back in operation. When I come back, I'm going to do a quick headspace on this to double check it, and I'll show you. I have a headspace for an AK video already, but I'll do one on this one just to see where it's at. And then yeah, next time you see it, it'll be all cleaned up and fixed and good as new. Okay, one quick final little piece on this Bulgarian. I'm going to do a headspace check. Super, 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 super incredibly important when buying a used gun. As you can see by that other one that I had, it was completely so far off, it was dangerous to fire. This is a no-go gauge. It's a Manson gauge. It's a CIP gauge. You know, AK Builder sells these things. They're not super expensive, and if you start to build AKs, they are a very, very worthwhile investment. So again, what you're looking for is it's all the way in the chamber, okay, and then you're just going to rotate it, put a little bit of like, into it. You have some gap there, which is what you want. Let me get closer so you can see. Focus. So you can see that when I rotate this, it doesn't lock. And by locking means it's going to, this piece here will hit the right side of the trunnion or come super close to it. So that already is a very good start. Then we're going to put our go gauge. Okay. And we're going to slide that in there if it wants to go. Okay. And you're going to rotate it. Headspace in this is a tad bit tight. There's a bit more of a gap than I would like, but that's okay because I mean it's going to wear in a bit. And in reality, when this thing locks into battery, it actually, with the force of the recoil spring, it actually might lock it completely to where you want it. And finally, I'm going to use, come on, a live round. If you're not comfortable with live rounds, I think there's a couple of companies that sell dummy rounds that replicate, you know, a live round, or you can put in water, you know, pull the bullet if you have some reloading capability, pull the bullet, fire off the primer, and then reload the bullet, and you have the same thing. But I mean, this is actually still pretty safe. So again, this is going to lock in. Now with the round in the chamber, or with the live round, you notice that the gap closes considerably. So again, we're good on headspace on this thing. So that's one of the most important things. I mean, most of the other stuff is cosmetic, can be easily done, fixed, you know, if you have some skill and knowledge and or just desire to do it. So other than just basically fixing the crappy rivet job and properly dimpling the receiver, they did kind of egg this a bit, but that's okay because the rivet will actually expand within the hole when smashed properly. This doesn't need too much work. I'll probably actually I might redo the trigger guard. I want to see what's going on underneath here because I don't like the fact that I can see a bit of a dent in there. Mostly minor. Again, a lot of that can actually be kind of smashed back into shape. You can use your press to do that, but the rifle headspace is properly. It's not welded in, which is phenomenal. Other than just a sloppy rivet job, this rifle is not too bad. It's just kind of cosmetically ugly. So, but as usual, you know, if you have any questions about any gun restorations or AKs or whatnot, please feel free to contact me, militarygunguy702@gmail.com. I'll come back later with some other videos you guys might find interesting, hopefully. When I bring this thing back, probably in a couple of weeks, this will be all cleaned up and nice and pretty. I'll probably have it bead blasted. After I fix the receiver, I'll have it bead blasted. I'm going to redo the wood, put some nice wood on it, and then probably put a wood pistol grip on it because I don't really like the plastic. And give it like either a coat of alumihide or maybe just do a black oxide finish on it and go from there. So as usual, thanks for watching. And like I said, any questions, hit me up. My advice is always free. Thanks. Bye-bye.